In the Lab, proudly sponsored by KitKat Cash and Carry. Our competition number 2 is now officially closed. It was absolute fun reminiscing and laughing at all the old wives' tales. We eventually had to get serious and choose a winner. Max Membe, you have won a spectacular prize of 300 Rand from Honey. Assalamu alaikum, I'm Zaki Bika and you with us in the lab, empowering, inspiring and informing our viewers. Hardly anything is more heartbreaking than having one or more of our adult children simply disappear from our lives for no apparent reason. The cruel grief of such a loss is often more than any of us parents can bear. Even the idea of such losses sounds absurd and can send most of us packing. The sadness and possible shame we bear is not something we discuss idly with fellow parents and most often a taboo topic. Today, our topic is simply forgotten parents. With us in studio today is Fiona Rasool, mom of 3, certified life coach and the founder of Angels of Hope. Assalamu alaikum. Jazakallah so much for being with us today.
Walaikum salam. Jazakallah for having me.
Fiona, on this topic, forgotten parents, it is such a sad topic that's actually taboo that we don't want to talk about, but we have to. What is the main reason for us as adults abandoning our parents?
I think the main reason is selfishness. You know, we grow up and now's generation actually has become about entitlement, self-entitlement. And we see so much of narcissistic behavior out there where it's only about me.
Yes.
You know, what can I get out of this? And now that my parents are old, I don't have the time for this. You know, I'm married now and my husband can't stand my mom because she's always there. And then you have the daughter-in-laws that can't stand the mother-in-laws and they say, I want to move out. I don't want to be with your mom. And then they move out and then they forget their parents and the parents are just left to fend for themselves. And it's really sad because, you know, these are people that have been in your life ever since you were young, brought you up to be the person that you are today.
Yes.
And then you just leave them.
So, Fiona, are we exaggerating? Is it happening in our community, in our society? You heard the term old age homes in other cultural sectors, but has it become an Indian phenomenon?
Yes, absolutely. You know, previous years you would hear it in a white community, in a black community, but now old age homes in Indian communities have really sprouted up. You know, we visit many of them and then you find the people will say to you, I'm just here for 6 months, but my son is coming to fetch me. And then you would talk to the lady who runs the place and she says, no, but she's been here for 2 years now. And she gets visitors maybe once every 6 months, you know, but it's very sad because the parents hang on to this hope that my son will come and get me. He's just gone to take care of something or he's out of town on business, but he is coming to get me. And it's absolutely sad. It's heartbreaking to see that, you know. And most of the times the people that we visit are well-known people, you know, sons are doctors, daughters are lawyers. It's that type of people. And, you know, there's a saying that goes, it's the rich that live like they're poor and the poor that live like they're rich.
Mm-hmm.
And that's absolutely true because most of the rich people these days, and I'm not generalizing, it's actually a fact, most rich people these days put their parents in old age homes because they just don't have the time to give them that love and attention that was given to them when they were young by the same parents.
I actually have goosebumps. This is so touching. How do you do it day in and day out? It's part of your job, I know. How do you do it day in and day out to see this thing happening?
Well, Zaki, someone has to do it. You know, we can all say it's hard so to see this and we can't handle it. It's too emotional. But then what happens to these people out there? You know, there are people that are there for a reason. There are people that have spoken to elderly people that want to be in old age homes because they are so tired of being pushed around by their kids, which is also another sad topic. But it doesn't mean that you need to desert them. You can go visit them, even if it's once a month on a Sunday.
Yes.
Make that time and go and visit them. There are genuine cases where, the person isn't mentally stable and you have to put them in these types of homes because they have 24-hour care and they are actually, in fact, happier being there around those type of people. But you as a child should make it your duty. In fact, it is your duty to go and visit them.
Yes.
Not just leave them and just abandon them and, oh, they are there, I'm just paying the bill every month. Because it takes more than that.
You've given a lot of like emotional facts that what happens to them, but on a more definite level, what happens to parents that are deserted by kids?
I think they're emotionally broken because imagine you build your whole life around your kids.
Yes.
This always happens. Parents build their whole lives around their kids. And when they reach this older age, they have nothing to do with their lives now because the kid has grown up, you're a young adult, and you don't have the time in your busy life for your old parent. And then what is that parent supposed to do? So from a child's point of view, you need to step back and you need to look at that. What do you expect your parents to do? Do you expect them to now have another child at their old age?
Yes.
How do you want them to live their lives?
Or start maybe educating themselves or
at that age.
Yes.
And the thing is, money also plays an important part in this. If you are financially secure and you are 65 or whatever the case may be, you can travel. You can travel the world. You can travel with your partner. But what happens to those that don't have the financials to do that?
That was my next point. While researching this topic, I read something to the effect that it's the parents' responsibility to prepare for their old age and to take financial precautions for their old age. But is it possible because we're giving everything to the kids?
I think it is possible, but parents don't put themselves first. When you have children, it becomes all about them.
Yes.
So as they grow up, you give everything that you have to them. And that's unfortunately the mistake that parents make. Because you see it happening so frequently in our old age where children are now busy with their own lives, their own jobs, and they don't have time for you. Mm-hmm. You are left to fend for yourself. Mm-hmm. And if you don't have the money to do it, then what happens to you?
I'm just going to be crude and just ask you, do females leave their parents as well?
Yes, absolutely. Females do that. I think less so than men, but they do because with pressure, I think pressure from their spouses as well. But I think it's equal. I'd be lying if I say, it's more men than women. But daughters also leave their parents, which is actually quite sad.
It is. Because we're supposed to be now the fairer sex or the more sensitive sex. And what brings you to that? But why has it crept up into our South African culture so aggressively?
I think one of the reasons for that is the state of the economy. Most people, like if you take Durban, for instance, there's no jobs there. If there are, there's not many. So you get young people that move from Durban to come to Pretoria and Johannesburg for jobs, and they leave their parents behind. But when they come here and they have good jobs and establish themselves, they forget about their parents. They get married, they move here, and then their parents are left in Durban to fend for themselves. And then you get Pretoria and Johannesburg people that move to Saudi or to abroad.
Yes.
And also they can't take their old parents with them, so their parents are left here. So, they become stranded. So if you're not putting them in an old age home, you're leaving them and you're moving to another country. So.
Oh my gosh, that's so sad. So that's like moving for a better life, but in fact destroying your parents' life completely.
Exactly.
Is that the main reason for the increase in old age homes in our communities?
No, I think it's a narcissistic behavior. That's why. because it's just become about us.
Yes.
I drive a fancy car, I live in this big mansion, and I don't have time for old people. That's what it's become about. It's become about me having this busy life, and I have this mother-in-law that needs her medication, or I have this mother that's nagging me all the time. I don't need this. So, you know what? There's an old age home. I have the money. I'm going to put her there, and that's where she'll stay. And then I just feed myself this thing and say, she's better there. That's the environment she is better in. I'm doing my bit. I'm paying the monthly thing. But they forget that
that's not what they want.
Exactly. It's so easy to give money. Anybody can give money.
Yes.
But the care and the love and the, that time that your parents deserve from you is what you don't want to give them, or what you're not willing to give them.
You've mentioned one thing here that really hurt my heart, that you've seen. So what is the worst cases that you've seen where you said something that the mother thinks the son is still coming? That is so sad. Is that a lie that they tell their parents, or is that woman in denial?
I think the woman is in denial, and it's also a lie, because when they leave, they'll say, Mama, I'll come see you on Sunday. They don't say which Sunday. So she expects every Sunday, they're going to come on Sunday. So I think it's also a thing of survival. You go into survival mode where you hold on to only the good. And that's what parents do. Not many parents I know that would only see the bad in their kids. They all want to hold on to the good side. Yes. So they will have that hope that the kids will come and see them. But it just doesn't happen in these days' society.
Another thing I think would be that parents protect their kids' reputation, so
yes.
It's something that they won't say in a hurry.
Exactly. And I think it's, if anything, it needs to make us wiser. We need to save for our old age. We need to save for the time where our children are going to move away. Our children are going to have lives of their own. So love your children, but you also need to love yourself enough to know that you have to be strong and you have to be financially secure. You have to be financially independent when the time arrives where you need to be by yourself.
Fiona, if you're an old couple and you don't have kids, whose responsibility is that then to take care? And you're not financially stable. Whose responsibility is that then? Does it become a community, a state? What?
I think then your siblings, your family members, I think they are responsible for you, and they should actually help you, because in every community you're supposed to help the young people. It first starts with your family members, and
yes.
then so I think it would be first the family members that would have to step up and help them.
Okay. So that's another sad, if you were in a childless marriage and now you're old and there's nobody, but it's a catch-22,
yes,
I
absolutely.
guess. Fiona, your final words to the community. Why is it so important to not just own your parents and to just make them feel so important?
I think you just need to ask yourself one question: where would you be without your parents? You might be a rich person now, you might have this good education, and you feel you don't have the patience or the time for your parents who need you more than they need your money. So I think that's the basis of everything. You need to ask yourself, where would you be without your parents? And you need to make the time and spend that time with them.
Jazakallah so much. It was such a difficult topic to address, but alhamdulillah, we've got through it. Jazakallah so much for your time and your effort and all the fantastic information that you've given. I hope we take it to heed, and I hope we never ever let our parents go, and just do as much as they did for us. Jazakallah, Fiona.
Jazakallah for having me.
Well then, it's a wrap. I leave you with something really deep. People don't abandon people they love. They abandon people they use. Catch us next week for another great episode on Lodium Today. Assalamu alaikum.
Lodium Today presents In the Lab with Zakira Bika. Now also on Channel Islam International. Proudly sponsored by KitKat Cash and Carry. watch our episodes on YouTube and subscribe to our profile. Also, stay in touch on Facebook, WhatsApp, and Instagram, and we'll keep you up to speed with topics coming up next week. Don't miss an episode.